Welcome to another fantastic episode of In the Blue Guys. I'm Dr. Corey Frogley, co-founder and CEO of BlueIQ, the #1 software for tracking, analyzing, and growing your practice. And we are here today for an incredible episode. My guest today is Dr. Paula Ruffin, and she's a chiropractor. She is one of us who has been out there just absolutely creating waves and making a splash in our industry. And I'm so excited to introduce her. She's got a practice in Michigan. She graduated from Palmer West, which, as you guys know, I'm a Palmer Davenport guy. So I still let her on the show, but really excited to share her with our audience today, because she is doing something so powerful in our industry today, which is empowering women chiropractors. So to our BlueIQ Nation, all you women out there, this is our girl. This is our champion who is really making a big difference for us. And you guys out there, you need to pay attention to this as well, because this is a big topic in our industry. And as you know, women chiropractors are growing fast, and we are so excited to empower them and help them in any way that we can, and play that role in supporting and growing our profession. Because as you guys know, that's our vision, that's our mission, is to help our doctors become more profitable so they can grow bigger practices, making bigger impact in their community. And I am so honored to welcome to the show, Dr. Paula Ruffin. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Corey. So first and foremost, I do just want to tell you, when I ended up in San Jose at Palmer West, people asked me, why didn't you go to Iowa? And I was like, Iowa, California? Let me think about that for a nanosecond.
Cost of living's better. Cost of living's better.
I'll give you that. But quality of living was really nice. Those mountains and the trails, and that all made me pretty happy out there. So
no pointing fingers here. We honor those Palmer grads all over the country now.
Right? I know. Yeah, we're all in it to save the world, basically, aren't we? Yeah. So cool. And then to your men in the audience, also, like you said, listen up, because when we're talking about women in chiropractic, I am talking about your CAs. I'm talking about your wives, who oftentimes are your CAs. There is a whole different set of challenges that we have. And the thing we have to remember, and this is not to negate the fact that men have challenges too, and that's totally fine. But we need a space and a place where we as women can have these conversations about the things that challenge us personally, and how do we grow past them? How do we come up with strategic ways to keep our lives organized? Because in the grand reality of things, we are still, I might get smacked virtually for saying this, but we are still the homemaker. We are still the key that holds the family unit together, in the sense that we're getting the kids off to school, and we're making the lunches, and we're picking them up, and we're cooking dinner. There is more of that in the industry, and I find that with a lot of executive women in general, is that we are taking on our businesses, and then we still have our families, and there's still a bit of a traditional unit in there. And so there's how do we manage all of that? How do we juggle that and make sure that we keep our sanity in the process?
Yes. That is key. Mental health, like that could be a whole topic of our show, right?
Yes, for sure.
I love that you bring that up, because again, for my audience knows this, but maybe your audience doesn't. I grew up the son of a chiropractor, right? I grew up right there at the footsteps of Palmer College, and with my father being the executive vice president to David Palmer, my mom was one of the biggest champions of health, and it is the reason why my dad went into chiropractic. But it was really beautiful watching her, raise us 10 kids, take care of a home, but she was the champion of health. I mean, my dad couldn't have done what he did if she wouldn't have been the wind beneath his wings, so to speak. She was never in the business, but so I understand what you're saying. I had this concept even as a kid that the guy was the chiropractor and right? When I got into school and there were all these women chiropractors, it opened up I mean, I knew that world existed, but it was such an empowering thing to see the power that these women were bringing to our profession. So I'm so excited to hear just what you're experiencing and how we can help these women become even more balanced, more successful, more empowered.
Well, it's a great question. Again, I appreciate you having me on here because we always talk about what is your story in chiropractic. I think that's a really common question we get asked because it seems like everybody has a story and how they became a chiropractor. For me, I didn't think I had a story for many years because most of the time, as you know, many chiropractors got into it. Either it was a family thing and you were the next in line for that, or you had an injury that took you to the chiropractor and it was some miraculous thing and you ended up, the chiropractor saved your life and you were like, I want to be a chiropractor. Yeah. I don't have any of those stories. I was always like, I don't have a story. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life and I couldn't get into physical therapy school. And my sister was like, have you thought about being a chiropractor? And I was like, okay. And I ended up in, it was like literally just that, like dumb, right? But in the divine, scheme of things, the first day I was sitting in class, maybe the second, I'm not quite sure, but we were in the orientation and they were talking about, how chiropractic came to be. And that, the first chiropractic adjustment was given on September 18th, 1895. And I went like the light shined, skies opened up, the light shined down. And my birthday is September 18th. And I went, oh, no way. Oh man, I go, that's cool. Yeah. And then of course, here I am almost 24 years later and seeing the miracles. Like I can't say that I didn't believe in chiropractic as I became a chiropractor. I was always in health and wellness. My mother, if we want to talk about motherly influences, my mother was a huge influence. And back in the 70s, she was people called her a health nut, right? That was when that term had like this crunchy granola feel, and it wasn't particularly a mainstream, name for people. Right. And so she ended up, my brother was diagnosed as hyperactive. And in today's world, who knows what label would have been put on him. And, he's very successful today. He runs a multi-million-dollar company and, he's just like the best brother I could ever have. So cool. And so when she had taken him to the doctor, and she was a single mom, and she took him to the doctor and gave him 1 day's worth of Ritalin. And she said it turned him into a zombie. And she said, I'm not doing that. And she said, no more. And she put him into hockey and then like wiped our cupboards clean. Like no more processed foods, no more sugar cereals, like our Captain Crunch. We couldn't have any more of that. But to her credit, also as a single mom, we always had breakfast on the table. We had a bagged lunch and we had dinner, a cooked dinner. And yet she was also an entrepreneur. She was a seamstress and she would go out and she would get accounts. She made custom neckties and she would go into the TV stations and the radio stations. And then we'd be watching TV and she's like, that's one of my ties, and she'd identify which newscaster was wearing her ties. And then, so she was, she just from a work ethic. And then of course, raising a family with those healthy values was so important to me. So from the time I was very young till now, flash forward a couple years later, this is how I take care of my community and my patients. And I see people, when I first got into chiropractic, so going back to that, did I believe in chiropractic? It was a very musculoskeletal craft to me, right? I didn't understand the depth of the healing that I could create with people. And then I started to look at, started to see that people were having these changes. And then I'm like, is that really? Did I do that? Did I help them do that? And then I started looking at their nutritional habits. And that's how I got into functional medicine, because I thought, well, if I adjust you, and you're eating McDonald's every day, there is no amount of chiropractic adjustments that is going to override the chemicals you're putting into your body.
Amen.
And, you know, and then you get into this whole straight versus mixer thing. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't I take care of them from a global perspective? Absolutely. Isn't that my job? So now I've seen so many crazy miracles happen, as I'm sure you have too, is that when I always say I expect miracles, and I'm always shocked when they happen, because you can't help but just cheer and rejoice every time, because you just change that person's life. It is
the gift chiropractic gives us, right? Just to be able to participate in this work is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yeah. So when I started to look at creating authentic women in chiropractic, and looking at, you know, the why, and even before this, and why do I want to grow my practice? And you know, I'm a single mom, and I've got a 17-year-old daughter who I think you met the last time we talked. She popped her head.
She was on the camera.
Yeah. So when I look at that, I was like, well, I just want to make a ton of money. You know, that was my goal in practice. I just want to make a ton of money.
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. And for me to say that out loud was so empowering eventually, because there were a lot of groups 20 years ago when I started coaching with certain groups that you couldn't say that without being ridiculed. You know, it's not about the money. It's not about the money. And you know what? It is about the money, because you know what it does? And then I had this flash of why, like like it was just like literally an epiphany that when I was a little girl, and because my mom was a single mom, and she worked super hard, and we had everything we needed, right?
Sure.
But it was always, we can't afford this, we can't afford that, we're gonna end up on the street. And I remember being in elementary school and coming home every single day and turning the corner and looking down the street in front of our house and going, phew, our stuff's not in the street.
Oh my goodness.
And I didn't connect to that feeling literally just until a few months ago. And I was like, what a horrible burden to carry.
Yeah.
And so really then it became, that's why I want to make a lot of money, because I want to have the security and the ability to have options for myself, as well as to be able to teach other people and empower them to create that level of security for themselves and their family, so that no one ever has to feel like that again.
See, guys, Paula's already a member of the BlueIQ Nation. This is what we preach. I love it. Right? That money's just a tool to scale influence. And so
absolutely.
Here you are now expanding beyond the influence of your patients, right? You're now empowering other women. And share with me that journey. How did that come to pass?
That was really interesting. It was slightly accidental as well. And, you know, and of course we know there's no, exactly, God had a plan, absolutely. And so we were at an event over the summer with Black Diamond Club, and there was a speaker there, and Dr. Glenn Vo, he's a dentist out of Dallas, Texas. I'm not sure if you know you know Glenn, that's right.
Well.
Okay, yeah. So
remember I'm in dental, so I know that.
Oh, that's right. I know. I'm like, forgetting all of my threads of people. So as you know, so Glenn has his program, and he helps to empower dentists in their businesses and their lives. And so another colleague of mine, Dr. Jake Hansen, went up to him and he said, you need to be doing for chiropractors what you're doing for dentists. And I think that, sparked a light bulb for Glenn. And Glenn said, okay, I'll do this, but I only want to do, it's like a test market, right? So he wanted to do one male chiropractor, one female chiropractor, help them create a brand, and then help them grow that influence and scale it. Yeah. And Jake, which I'm just so honored for Jake, because Jake said, well, you need Paula Ruffin. And I'm like, there's a lot of amazing women in chiropractic doing incredible things.
Sure.
But it was like, and for me, I've been head down, driving, waiting for the lane, like just go, man, because eventually I'm gonna do this, and I just needed that opening. And Jake created that opening for me. But what it did to me was it made me recognize that I was doing the right thing. You know, your head down, and you're waiting, you're just waiting, right? And you're like, am I doing the right thing? Is it working? Is it happening? Is it going to happen? I know what I want. And then suddenly, bang, somebody does that, and the lane opens up, and you're gone. And I was like, that was just validation that I'm in the right place doing the right thing. So I got connected with Glenn, and it's a funny story. So we go to Dallas, and he's telling me, he says, he goes, I don't care what you call your group, but make sure that there's women and chiropractors in the name of it. Love it. And I said, well, first of all, Glenn, I said, there's a lot of groups that are called women and chiropractors in some capacity, right? Yeah. And a lot of them are good. A lot of them are amazing. A lot of amazing women doing amazing things. Yeah. There's a handful of them that are very, I don't know if I'm trying to, they keep to themselves. So I'm like, it's not inclusive, because that would mean they include other people. And it's not exclusive, because you don't really want to be a part of it, But basically it was, I told him, I go, I'm going to be honest with you. I said, I do not want people associating my group with a bunch of catty ass backstabbing bitches. And I'm like, sure, I'll get ridiculed saying that, but literally that's how a cup but it's blanketed this cloud over most of the women's groups, because there's a couple of groups that have this reputation for not being collaborative, criticizing and ridiculing women for doing the things that I'm standing up and doing. Wow. And so then, we started just testing words, and we came up with authentic women in chiropractic. And I said, well, that's really it. We want women to be authentic, and we just don't want any catty ass backstabbing bitches. That's without being able to put that line, I know, and
that should be plastered right on the.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. So so we want to bring you in. We want to celebrate you. We want to help you find that thing, that strength within you that you don't think you have, and bring that out so that you can just thrive and succeed and know that you're worthy of it. Really, the overarching thing with so many women is they've lost their passion. They don't know how to find it. They don't particularly think they have a voice. There's a lot of people and entrepreneurs in general who are like, I'm not really a social media person. Well, you need to get over that. Like, that's, if you want to grow and expand and scale and have your voice heard and be that connector in your community and collaborate and support and have that relationship, like all the things, this is how we do it, right? We got to get past that piece. And so, part of my helping people and their influence is getting them to do just this here. So, huge. So then, we created a podcast, and I've got the group, and we're doing, doing interviews inside the group now, and just trying to expand that and gain more, gain more following inside the group. So.
That is incredible. I just, want to acknowledge your story, because it is phenomenal, and everybody's story is their story. It's your path, and God found the steps you needed to take to be here. And I think one of the things that men and women across the board, I think as human beings, we all struggle with our value, recognizing our value, acknowledging our value. And it's very easy, especially coming out of school, recognizing the value of chiropractic, because the world doesn't value chiropractic at the real value that it is. And insurance companies are beating it down, and, traditional medicine's beating it down. And so when you look at one of our greatest desires as a BlueIQ Nation is to empower, to bring value through data, through making decisions, through the formulas that drive profitability in your practice, I love this human element. I love that you're using the word authenticity, because that you don't have to be more than who you are. You just have to be you, and your voice needs to be heard. There are people today that need to hear your voice. So I'm just honored I get to interview you early on in this journey. Believe me, BlueIQ Nation, we will be bringing her back as she continues to grow this movement. But I can already tell you, I can think of dozens and dozens of our BlueIQ Nation women who need to hear this voice. And if you had one message for them today, what would that message be?
Couple of things, if I can do two messages.
Okay.
I know. Your story matters. It's so easy to think that your story is ordinary. It's truly extraordinary, and it will inspire somebody. I never thought the story of coming around the corner and looking to make sure our stuff wasn't in the street. I was really quite embarrassed about that. But I can't tell you, when I started to share that with people, like it, you know, I'm finally able to tell that story now without getting choked up. But when I tell other people, it causes pause, and people resonate with it, because we've all had something impactful that's happened like that, but we haven't pulled it out of us to understand how it can actually drive us to expand, and then also be able to inspire other people with that story. Yeah. So that being said,
matters, yeah.
Message absolutely matters, and not discounting your value, your story, finding it. And then as I was working with Glenn on the brand, and we were trying to figure out a tagline, and we were at a coffee shop, so I was, a couple times into the bathroom, and then a couple hours later, I said, I'm gonna run to the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom. As I'm coming out, there's a sign on the wall, and it says, "Life is tough, my darling, but so are you." And I went back into the room and I said, "You're never gonna believe the sign I just saw after being in there 3 or 4 times." And Glenn said, "That's your tagline." And that's really it, right? So life is tough, but so are we. So let's get over it. Let's move through it. Let's get past it, and let's create, because we can.
Yeah.
Because we can.
So cool. So cool. I love that. Gosh, I just want to give a big, again, acknowledgement, high five, acknowledgement to what you're doing. And I want to acknowledge, if I can, just take a minute to acknowledge my wife. She is like behind the scenes. She doesn't like to be on camera, but she is the brand creator. She has helped me in ways I can't even explain. I want to thank all the women that have helped me grow practices and grow our BlueIQ Nation, our team. I want to acknowledge the BlueIQ Nation women, and acknowledge, like you said, it's not just the chiropractors, it's the front desk team members, it's the case managers, it's the billing team, it's the rehab assistants, it takes a team. Mm-hmm. And I want to confess or acknowledge our history of suppression and what's happened in gender, and this opportunity to just kind of be on the screen with you, who's somebody who's standing as a bright light for gender equality, and to have the voice heard. I want to power that. I want to champion that. And I'm, again, just an honor to be here. So Paula, how do people actually join your movement, be a part of your movement?
I love it. Thank you so much. So they can go to Authentic Women in Chiropractic on Facebook. I do have a podcast coming out soon. The title of that is called The Cure. And I said, Glenn, I go, why are we calling it The Cure? He goes, I love The Cure. And I go, me too. So we're going to have some cool intro and extra, music with The Cure. But yeah, so Authentic Women in Chiropractic on Facebook is where you can currently find me. I do have a YouTube page. We're in the process of building that out. Nice. And and then you can find me at Dr. Paula Ruffin on Instagram.
Beautiful, beautiful. We'll put those links in below in the comments. Guys, I would love a comment from you. Post comments below about what did you love about today's show? What's your message? What do you want people to know? What are some of the difficulties you're struggling with that we can bring a voice, we can shine a light? Because again, the title of our show, In the Blue, that means exceeding expectations. And I want to just, again, as a provider, as a chiropractor, chiropractic has brought a life to me that's exceeded my expectations already. And, just getting started.
Right.
So it's an honor to be with those who are like-minded, who want to build beautiful lives. And more importantly, help others build their beautiful lives. And that's really what Paul is all about, is helping you be heard, process, bring value, find your authenticity, and live your life in the blue.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, Corey, this profession allows every single one of us, men and women, to create the autonomy that we all want. We get into business, we become entrepreneurs because we want to have that autonomy. We don't want to be locked and chained to the one thing. Yeah. And we can really influence when we start to recognize that. And one last quick story, when my daughter was younger, or before she was born, I used to work Monday through Thursday. And then when she was born and she started into preschool, and cost of childcare was super expensive. Yeah. And I thought, well, so summer came and I thought, well, I'm just going to work Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. I'll take Wednesday off to save some childcare money. Mm-hmm. And which, by the way, a whole nother conversation, but almost completely lost my business and my home and everything through that process. So we'll do that another time. And how I rebuilt it and, resuscitated it all. Yeah. But she was going into kindergarten or preschool, whatever it was. And I decided I'll work 3 days a week. And when she goes back to school in the fall, I'll work 4. So I had this plan to toggle from 4 to 3, based on her school year. And that was 17 years ago. And I still work Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Wow. And I'm able to create in 3 days what I was doing in 4. And why not? I get to be home here on a Wednesday doing cool stuff like this and, picking her up. Well, she drives now, but, I could pick her up from school and make dinner and, we could go shopping. We could just do things. I could work in the classroom. It was just more mommy time. Yeah. So I really want to encourage people that if you're feeling like you are not celebrating the autonomy that this profession offers you, we need to talk. And I can help you create that. So that's really, let's do that and give you those options that I know you can have. So good. What was the tagline? Life is tough, but so are you. Life is tough, but so are you. Yes. Darling, life is tough, darling, but so are you. I left out the darling part. I wanted to adapt it to myself. That's okay. Yeah. Dr. Paula Ruffin, thank you so much for being on In the Blue. Thank you so much, Corey. Hope to have you back. Guys, click the link below. Join our group. This is for women only, guys. Empower your front desk. Empower your women in your life to join this group. Doesn't matter. They can be your spouse, they can be your partner, they can be your team member, they can be your have them be a part of this group. We're so excited to support and champion this. And again, BlueIQ, this is brought to you. If you haven't seen Patient Link yet, this is our new patient engagement platform to allow you to do not all of your analytics, but how to make your front desk team life so much easier through appointment confirmations, birthday messages, two-way texting, and reviews coming soon. So look for Patient Link as you continue to grow the practice and drive your profitability so that you can help change more patients' lives. We will see you again soon for another phenomenal episode of In the Blue. And if you like this kind of content, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.